All right, what to save for. So it's important. I want you guys to think about and imagine some things you want to save for. Keep in mind your short-term as well as long-term goals. Short-term would be maybe, a down payment on a car, or save up to pay for new furniture, or to save for a vacation. Long-term is going to be saving for retirement, saving for down payment on a home, saving for college, for children, etc. And so that all of us hopefully have some goals or ideas of what we want to save money for. And these goals and desires, if we can vision those of how we're going to live in retirement, or going on that vacation, or paying cash, 100% cash for a new car, these are our stronger yeses. These goals that then allow us to say no to these immediate desires that we have when we want to go out with friends all the time or do something and spend money. It's not bad to spend money, but if it's, we need to decide what things should we spend money, and then what do we want to save for. And so it's easier to say no to the now if we have stronger yeses, these reasons. So can a couple of you give maybe one goal that you have? What's a reason that you have to save? Why do you want to save? Or what is it that you want to save for? So a lot of you kind of retirement, some emergency fund, um, a home purchase, wedding, vacations in there. Yeah, Isabel said she's been in situations that happened and didn't have the money. So that is a huge motivator, because we don't want to be caught in some of those situations. And so if we know and we can see and we can feel what would happen if we have an emergency fund, and then some catastrophe hits, we need to downsize, or we need to, we don't get enough money, or just the brakes go out in the car that we weren't expecting, or something happens, instead of being paycheck to paycheck and having nothing there and having to go in debt, saying, hey, I have this emergency fund for these type of situations, and paying for it and continuing on with our lives with just a hiccup instead of a giant mountain. That feels good to have and to see thousands of dollars in our savings account as emergency fund, to see tens of thousands of dollars growing at an increased pace in our retirement account, to see the money there when we go on vacation to pay cash instead of putting it on a credit card and then paying for it 1.5 times because we have to pay interest. It feels good, and it's exciting to save money. So why don't we save? We don't know where our money goes. We want too many things, right? And we blame others, like, I need a raise. If only I had a raise. I just, all of my expenses are needs. I don't have any wants. They're all needs, right? So what about you guys? Do these ring true? Or are there a couple other answers of reasons why you don't save? You don't save because of vacations? Oh, no, that's what she wants to save for. Children, helping children. Yeah, different debts and loans. Hard to keep track of it. Unexpected things that could have been used by an emergency fund. Very good. Anybody have any great ideas of how to overcome these barriers in order to save? What techniques could we do to overcome these issues that are on the screen and that you've mentioned of why we don't save? How can we overcome that to start saving? So Isabel says, cut back on spending, designate a certain amount to save, learning to live simply. Yeah, more simple, right? We'll talk about that at the very end, about living more simply. Having money taken out automatically, decreasing our eating out and entertainment. So Great, those are great ideas. So we're going to talk a little bit more about self-awareness and mindfulness. We're going to go to a YouTube video. I want you guys to watch this, and maybe some of you have seen it, but this marshmallow is not a marshmallow. For you, it's whatever it is you're tempted to buy, a vacation or a car or whatever. And if you delay and save, then what do you get? So let's watch this. You guys hear it? Can you hear the video?
Okay, sit in that chair. All right, here's the deal. Marshmallow for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one, so then you'll have two. But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right. I'm gonna go do something and then I'll come back.
It smells yummy. It smells really good.
All right, so it's up to you. You can have it now or you can wait. Okay? I'll be back. Stay in the chair, okay? Okay.
You see how that kid was visualizing taking a bite but didn't? Or some of those kids not looking at the marshmallow but still feeling that it's there. Pretend that that marshmallow is whatever it is you want, your vacation, or let's just say a car. You can go test drive it maybe, but you don't need to buy it until you save up some cash so you can pay for it. Let's see how these kids do. Uh-oh. It's good. He's good at delaying gratification.
All right, so I'm gonna leave and then I'll come back, okay? So you can either eat it right now or you can wait. Either way, okay? Okay. How'd you do? Did you do good? You did?
Yeah.
You wanted to eat it, didn't you? Yeah. So did I tell you to give you another one? Okay, now you can have both. You need them.
All right, so if they waited, they got two, and they probably had to wait for like 15 minutes, which if it's yummy to them, that's like an eternity, right? So my question to you guys is, what is your marshmallow? What are the marshmallows in your life? And what can you do to set yourself up to win? What are the beneficial outcomes to you if you wait for your marshmallows rather than like a couple of those little girls that eat it right away? So marshmallow could be savings. Yeah, saving, right? By the way, this was done, I think, back in the 60s and 70s or 60s, and they followed these kids 20 years, and the children who waited, who delayed gratification instead of having to have instant gratification had better life outcomes, including higher SAT scores and scholastic performance. They had less substance abuse. There were fewer behavioral problems. They had better social skills, and they were able to better cope with stress. So there's a lot of beneficial outcomes for us if we can delay gratification. And yet as adults, sometimes we want it now, and so we have to, we're like the kid that started eating it before the girl left the room. She just started eating it. And Dave Ramsey says it's human nature to want it and want it now. It is also a sign of immaturity. Being willing to delay pleasure for a greater result is a sign of maturity. However, our culture teaches us to live for the now. I want it, we scream, and we can get it if we are willing to go into debt. Debt is a means to obtain the I want it's before we can afford them. He says change is painful. Most people won't change until the pain of where they are exceeds the pain of change. So hopefully, instead of waiting until that pain is to the point where we just are fed up with being in, having no savings and living paycheck to paycheck that we want to change, hopefully we can instead visualize the benefit and what it would be like to have savings, to save for a car, to save for a vacation, to save for retirement. And because of that vision and how great it will be, we have more control now instead of waiting for that pain point. And so some of the attributes of people, this is from the research, of people that are good at saving, are they're willing to forego current spending to set aside money for their future self. Again, getting to that and visualizing the future self. They live below their means and pay themselves first. In other words, they put some money aside before they pay any expenses, and then they pay their fixed expenses, those mandatory ones, and live off the rest and their variable expenses, which would be kind of gas and groceries and home improvements or items for the home, etc. Living off the rest, paying ourselves first. If we pay ourselves last and do all of our expenses and save what's left over, there's never anything left over because our expenses tend to fill our income. Even if we get a raise, then our expenses go up and fill our income. We get double our money, our expenses go higher and fill our income. So they keep filling our income unless we protest to the contrary. So living below their means and paying themselves first, they make it automatic. People who are good at savings, another attribute is distinguishing between needs and wants. They have financial goals, this bigger yes, so they can say no to the less important immediate needs. And then, like we've been talking about, they see their potential future, and that benefit outweighs the current wants. And so it's all about motivation. If it's motivating enough to pay cash for the vacation, to have money for retirement, or to retire early, or whatever it is, then we can have power to say no to the less important immediate needs. So for you guys, what are some things that motivates you to save? What would motivate you? Having some financial peace of mind when emergencies hit, paying off debt, freedom. Yeah, a lot of times we think that a budget is restrictive and it's kind of like having handcuffs on. But really, not knowing where your money goes and never having money when emergencies come, that's bondage. I mean, that's more restrictive and oppressive. When we know where our money's going and we can choose where we want it to go and we have enough, and as we spend it, we're happy because we know that we have enough because it's in our budget, that's freedom. That's, having peace of mind. It also saves on a lot of arguments in marriage. My wife and I, if we didn't have a budget, would be arguing about money all the time. All right, so what are the benefits of saving and the consequences of not saving? So we've already talked about some of these, but it's the ability to achieve our financial goals, to have financial security in later life, to reduce stress when emergencies happen, to bring this peace of mind. It definitely helps in arguments over money in marriage. Again, money is one of the highest areas of conflict and reason for separation and divorce. And so when we know where our money's going, We decide where we want the money to go and act on our money rather than let our money act on us or our desires act on us. We are free to and see our goals being accomplished, our money being directed towards its best use and best practice. And then some of those consequences of not saving, we could lose our home or standard of living if something happened. We could have financial insecurity in later life and not live, the quality of life we want in retirement. We could not have enough to take care of ourselves. And so as we think about these things and envision our future self, this increases our self-awareness, our emotional intelligence. And when you can pay yourself first and delay gratification, then you learn self-discipline that bleeds over into other areas of life. You have more control over your health, more control over your relationships, and in all other areas of life. And so we're talking here about money and saving, but really we want to be emotionally aware, self-aware. We want to be mindful of what we're doing so that we can change our behaviors in any area of our life. All right, let's talk about saving here. Helping your savings grow. This is saving long-term. Is savings really that beneficial? Let's try to get you a little excited here about saving for the future. So we see investor A, B, C, D, and E. Investor D starts when they're 8 years old and invest $500. Can everybody see what I'm talking about with investor D? $500, and then the second year they do $750, $1,000, $1,250, $1,500, and $1,750. And then investor C, they wait and start when they're 14, and they invest for 5 years, $2,000 a year, so that's $10,000. Investor B starts when they're 19 and goes 7 years and quits at 25. And then investor A starts when they're 26 and invests for 40 years until they're 65. Investor E is doing all of it. So from investor A, B, C, and D, again, A is investing for 40 years, $2,000 a year, so that's $80,000. Investor B, for 7 years, he's got $14,000 in. Investor C is a little earlier, invests $10,000, and investor D, I think it's like $6,750. Who do you think by the age of 65, if they all received the same rate of return on their interest, would have more at the age of 65 when they retired? A, B, C, or D? What do you guys think? Not E. E doesn't count. Only A, B, C, or D. So we have A, C, and D. Nobody's shooting for investor B there. A, mostly A's. Okay, very good. Let's see what happens. So we see down on investor A, they can invest on the bottom left there, invested $80,000, and it grew 11 times, and so they now have $893,000. Investor B invested $14,000, but now they have $930,000, which is 66 times what they invested. Investor C only invested $10,000. They have $1.17 million, which was 117. Look at investor D, $6,750. They have $1.26 million. That was 188 times more than what they invested. How in the world could investor D, only investing $6,750, get to 1.3 million almost, when investor A, who invested 80,000, only has 893,000? Yes, A invested from 25 to 65, 40 years, $80,000 for Cassandra. Yeah, compound interest and the time it was collecting. It's called time value of money, right? Let's watch another little YouTube video, a little bit about this.
Now, let's take it to another level and discuss the importance of time. Compounding over a long period of time can potentially lead to exponential growth of a portfolio. Let's look at another example to understand how important time is to compounding. Suppose two investors have portfolios worth $100,000 each. The portfolios hold similar investments. They both use compounding to grow their portfolios 6% per year. One investor needs the money to retire in 20 years. The other will need the money to retire in 40 years. Let's see what a difference 20 years can make. At the end of 20 years, the $100,000 principal would have grown to $320,713. Now let's see how much the other investor would have earned. As you can see, the additional 20 years of compounding resulted in the principal growing to $1,028,571. That's more than 3 times the return of the other investor.
All right, did that make sense to everybody? Here's kind of the graph or chart. Let's see, so there's a echo. Let me try to fix that. Okay, hopefully that'll help. So they said the person that waited a little bit or only invested for 10 years instead of 20 years, they had about a third of that. Because as time grows, you can see how sharp this curve goes up. The first from 30 to 48, look at this chart here, and it starts at age 30, and once you get to 48, almost 20 years later, it's not really that high. But if you let it grow to 65, look how high it's going. What if you waited till 75? Does that make sense? As time goes on, compounding exponentially grows. It's an amazing mathematical phenomenon. And so as you make the discipline to put money aside, especially if there's a match, right, with the employer, or other money that you can find, maybe a tax return, or as you get bonus, a raise, or different things, as you can find money and put it into these long-term investments, that curve gets steeper and steeper and grows faster and faster, so that when you retire, you're better off. Now, obviously, if you move that and you only have 10 years or 15 years, then you don't have time on your side as much. You're going to have to put a lot more aside in order to have what you need. But if you're younger, or people you know are younger, the sooner they start, the more they're going to have. Again, that person that had about $7,000 invested, $6,750 ended up with 1.3 million, 188 times what they've been, just because they started when they were 8. So that's pretty amazing. Any questions about that? All right, so isn't investing too risky? I'm going to quickly go through this, but I'm going to see if I can share my screen with you. All right, can you guys see my screen over there, the Fidelity? This is today, and I just got on their mutual funds, and you can see here, this is the, this is the 10-year average rate of return on these funds. Now, what do you see? Are they better than 10%? They're better than 10%. What about 5-year, 3-year, and 1 year? Look at some of these. These pretty good returns. And so when people say there's nothing available, when you say, well, if you average 8% or 10% or 12%, and they say, well, that's not realistic. Well, these funds for the last 10 years, which includes the recession, have been earning 12% or more. Let's go to a different one. This is T. Rowe Price. same thing. You can see, oh, don't want that on there. You can see the 10 years up here. The first one is 14.92%, 14, 11, 10, 10, 10. And so there's more options again of, or examples of over the last 10 years. These have been doing pretty well. In fact, this top one, global technology, this year in 1 year has done 30%. The last 3 years is 21%, and the last 5 years is 21%. So it's the market's doing on fact today. It just broke the $21,000 mark for the first time ever. Here's one more. Here are some stocks. Those were mutual funds, which if you guys want more information on investing, we can do a different training on that. But this is just an example. Those were mutual funds where it's diversified, and these are individual stocks. And you can see over the last 10 years what the rate has been and who's in the top. So if you would have invested in Netflix 10 years ago, it's 4,315% increase that you would have had, which means if you would have put $1,000 in, you would have $43,000. Or if you put $100,000 in, you'd have 4.3 million. 10,000 would be 430,000. So if you could, it would have just come up with $10,000 10 years ago and put it in Netflix, you would now have $431,000. So this is amazing. Now let's look at interest rates in banks. All right, and these are the best online banks of money market accounts or large high growth. Sorry, not high growth, but savings accounts that have high interest rates. And what are the top interest rates we can see? 1.1, 1.05, 1%. And that's if you have a minimum balance, some of these of $10,000, right? Some of them, like Barclays, it's $0 or $100. And so it's about 1%. And so when we're talking about Can you guys see my PowerPoint again? When we're talking about returns, and if investing is too risky, we can see that in parts of the economy they're earning over 10% a year. They're diversified and a little more safe, and yet a savings account that we think is safe, is there risk to it? What kind of risk do you think there could be with a savings account versus investing in the stock market? What could be a risk? Easy to spend? Yeah, what about inflation risk? Yeah, not earning enough on it. So inflation is, if it's growing at 4% a year and we're earning 1%, and that's at the highest. A lot of us in our savings accounts are earning like 1 or 0.15. And so we're losing money every year. Our $100 buys less the next year than it did before. And so this is an example here of what $20 would buy of the groceries in 1972, 1992, and 2012, 20 years apart. And you can see 40 years down the road in 2012 what it can buy versus 40 years previously in 1972. That's inflation. So if we just bury our money or stick it in savings or keep it under our mattress, okay, we are losing money. It's still risky because we're losing money to inflation. And so why not put it in and have it being saved somewhere that's growing and increasing? So we agree that savings and investing is beneficial. Now, where maybe do we put this money? So this is kind of hard to see. Let's see if we can make this any bigger. Where do we stash our cash? And so on here it shows, it's a higher risk over on the right side, medium risk, and then lower risk. And stocks and mutual funds, yes, they have higher risk as far as going up and down and possibly losing our money. And then bonds and money market accounts and CDs, and then the savings account. But there's the risk, again, for some of these lower ones is this inflation risk. And so we need to be thinking about all types of all types of risk, not just the investment risk. Again, if we want to do more on investing, we can do that at another time. So we're back here. Why don't we save? I'd love to save, but I just don't have enough money. And so how do we find money for our short-term and long-term goals to stay focused on those? So here we go. This is, again, mindfulness. And we want to be purposeful when it comes to money. And really, financial security and savings are more about how we spend rather than how much we earn. It's about decreased spending rather than increased income. So we're going to talk about now strategies to save money. What are some strategies you guys use to save money? If you're going to save money, what kind of expense could you reduce in order to save money? I have my students track their spending, and for a month, and they track, and they are amazed at how much they spend eating out. Many students say they spend on food every month $500. My family of 7 spends on food $850. So eating out is huge. What about clothing, or going and getting our hair and nails done, or driving around too much and spending too much in gas, or having to go and buy everybody gifts, and when we buy gifts, it has to be nice gifts, otherwise they won't like it and they'll think badly of us. Or every time we stop to get gas, we go in and we get snacks and chips and a soda. Or we maybe stop and get a Starbucks or some expensive coffee every day. We don't track our bank accounts, and there's fees with accounts, or we don't take back our Redbox movies or others, and there's fees on those. One couple that I just helped doing elder fraud, and they had about $1,400 a month going out in elder fraud. And one of the things, though, that wasn't elder fraud that was there is that I helped them is they were spending, their Comcast had increased up to about $200, it was $195. So I called them up on their behalf and talked with them, and they had the same package minus HBO, and now it's $95 a month. So sometimes you just have to call and see what the deals are, compare different insurance rates, and see if there's a different insurance on your auto insurance or life insurance or other insurance that you could decrease. Maybe there's high interest debt that you can attack and pay off, and that will save you money. So you try to decrease, how frequently you go to the store, have a grocery list, and those type of things. So there's, on the resources, there's a link, and there's other links out there, 50 easy ways to save money every month that you can check out. But there's lots of ways that our money is leaking out of our pockets, and we don't know where it's going. Again, my students track, and here's another example of different things that happen that tip. Cut soda pop consumption by 1 liter a week. Substitute a coffee for a cappuccino, how much that saves. So there's a couple times fewer a month, and how much that saves a year. And my students do this and look at their spending leaks, and they usually can save $3,000 to $5,000 a year. And now go back to what it looked like if we invested when we were younger, right? And $2,000 extra a year would make us millionaires. And so really we're spending our money, future money, in today's wants instead of thinking about our future selves. So what is the key to saving? It's tracking. We have to track. And so how do we know where our money's going? We have to track. So there's some easy ways to track our money. It doesn't have to be write it down. We don't have to write it down on a sheet of paper or whatever. Does anybody have easy ways that they use to track their money? Quicken, a notebook, that's easy for you. Whatever is easy for you guys, you want to do. Again, for saving, for tracking, for all these things, you want it to be easy. You want it to be automatic, and not have to, shouldn't be some whole production, because if it's a whole production, then we're not gonna, it's too much pain and we're just not gonna do it. And so what's easy ways to do it? So there's Microsoft Money, Quicken, Mint.com, if you've used that. Some people just check their bank or credit card statements and then track and see, put those into different categories. We're going to watch a little video about one way, which is Mint.com, and how that could be helpful.
How do you keep track of your financial life? Statements? Spreadsheets? Scribbles? It's time for something better, something easier, something smarter. Mint is a free, easy way to manage your money that empowers you to take charge of your financial life. Get started with a simple one-time setup. Add your bank, credit card, home loan, and investment accounts. Mint quickly and securely pulls in the information and organizes it for you. That's it. No more bookkeeping. Mint keeps it all up to date. You can see all your accounts in one place, with one login, anywhere, anytime. Mint uses bank-level security and alerts you to any suspicious transactions so you can rest easy. Mint shows you where your money goes. Your expenses are automatically categorized so you can keep track of how much and where you're spending. With one click, you can create a budget based on your spending history, make adjustments, track your progress, and find ways to spend smarter. Mint reviews your financial picture and makes personalized recommendations on ways you can save. You get all the information you need to make smarter decisions and plan for the future. Mint. It's the best free way to manage your money. Sign up and get started with Mint in less than 5 minutes.
All right, so Mint.com is one. There's other programs out there. Some like to use a cash budget using envelopes, and so things that you have to pay anyways, mortgage, and if there's a car payment or those things, that's fine. You pay those. But then things that we tend to spend money on, like gas or groceries, again, or home items for our home, or personal spending money, they put those in an envelope and have cash, and that keeps us on a budget of only using that. I personally use Mint.com. It tracks the money. It makes you aware of when things are due so that you're not late on payments and don't have late fees. It budgets for you. You can put how much you want in the groceries and things, and it kind of does a line and shows how much you have left and if you went under or over that month. And so it's free, it's safe. You can use other things, but there's also in the resources 12 free apps to track your spending and how to pick the best one for you. So that's at the end, that you'll be able to have that option to look at those. All right, so that's tracking. If we know where our money is going, then we are more able to cut expenses, to not have late fees, to pay down some debt as we're improving our credit and things are less expensive. All these are ways that we should be harnessing to put over automatically into some savings for short-term and long-term goals, rather than just spending it and still not knowing where our money went. And so there's this book, Nudge, that's kind of helps us, nudges us to be better and to make these decisions. And the last one you can see, it's to be effective with low or no attention required. So that's easy. Let's think about how to do this. And so doing it automatically is the way that millions of employers and employees do it, through 401ks or 403bs, with programs at work. It's also how many millions of Americans do it with their savings. And so you want to start small. One thing that you can do is you create a new savings account. And I have like 6 different savings accounts and there's no fee. If you're at a bank that's charging you money for having savings accounts or things, you need to switch banks or credit unions, because you shouldn't have that. So I have different savings accounts for some midterm goals, like my emergency fund. I have another one for a car replacement fund. I have another one that's a vacation fund. There's different things goals that I have, and I have different amounts of money, and then I automatically decide on how much, whether it's $10, $15, $45, $100, whatever it is, that automatically transfers on the date I specify from my checking account after I get paid into one of these accounts. And so if you get paid twice a month, you can say, hey, on the 5th of the month or the 2nd or the 3rd or whatever, I want $10 to go into these 2 funds. And then on the 16th or 17th of the month, I want 10 more dollars to go into these 2 funds or a couple other funds. And you can set that up once, and then it's automatic. You don't have to think about it anymore. You have these goals, you decide, and it just automatically transfers into those. And then as you do that and see, wow, hey, this money is increasing, and this is nice, and look, I can do $15, and then I can do $25. Pretty soon you got $50 going into these accounts that are growing, and you're excited, and it's fun, and you're not really missing the money, because before you didn't know where that money was going anywhere, and it was kind of fees or high interest or these other things that you're now cutting out and minimizing. And so that's one way. There's other ways that are apps online, Digit and Acorns. We're going to watch a couple of quick videos on this, and these are fantastic ways to automatically and easily save money. No, that's Mint. There we go.
You do it, right? Kinda? Not really? Yeah, not really. Who can blame you? It's boring and requires all kinds of planning and stuff. But what if it was automated and also smart? Seriously, when you link Digit to your checking account, Digit studies your spending and income history to predict your cash flow, and then checks in daily for savings opportunities. Digit sets small amounts of money aside that you don't really need for your day-to-day expenses in a way that you won't notice. A few bucks here, a few bucks there, and it adds up. That money now sits in your FDIC-insured Digit account. Digit sends you regular texts to fill you in on how much money has been saved. If you want some money back from Digit, just send a text. Boom, done. Money is there next business day. Digit automates your savings so that you don't have to think about it or notice it happening. Oh yeah, and it's free. That's it. Sign up for Digit.
So there's Digit, and here is Acorns.
Imagine if every time you swiped your debit or credit card, you were setting aside money and investing money for the future. With Acorns, you can. Acorns rounds up the spare change from everyday purchases to the nearest dollar and moves the difference from your checking account into an Acorns investment account. That money is then automatically invested into a diversified portfolio recommended specifically for you. If you want to invest more sooner, it's easy to deposit a lump sum or set up a recurring investment anytime. And with unlimited deposits and withdrawals, you can invest and save exactly how much you want when you want. Join over 1 million people who have already signed up. Download Acorns today, or go to acorns.com to get started.
All right, what do you guys think about those? Any thoughts? Both of those are easy. They're automatic. This is an example of Acorns. It rounds up your money so that if you spend $21.57 at Amazon, it rounds it up to $22 and sticks it over into your account, your Acorns account. So it's tucking away Acorns for the future, and then it invests in a diversified portfolio based on your risk level, your risk tolerance. And so it can be conservative or moderately conservative or moderate up to risky, etc. And so you can choose that, and it goes in. If you need some money out, you can pull it back, and there's no fees for moving money back and forth. And so this is an easy way to save while earning more. If you see the example on the right side there in the purple, total gain loss, 3.48%. Well, that's better than what our savings is getting, right, of maybe 0.5%. And so it's a way to save for your short-term or I'd say short to mid-term goals. Long-term, you're wanting to do something different like I showed you before. But yes, Acorns is free and Digit is free, and those are going to be on the resource page. In fact, signing up for one of these or doing one of these options is your homework assignment. Again, you won't miss the money. You'll be excited about how fast it's growing. You'll want to add more. You can make it a game, get your family and friends involved. You know, you want to surround yourself with others who want to win financially instead of those who want to spend, spend, spend. So I'm not saying don't spend, but choose where your money is spending. Instead of just having it gone on all of these leaks, you know, let's shore up some of the leaks and move it over to savings, automatic savings from your checking over to your savings, and then signing up for one of these like Digit or Acorns. It automatically does it for you. We're almost done. I think I got like a couple slides here. So here's a 30-day $100 savings challenge, and you can use this in your counties or by yourself, and it just shows your first day you save $1, second day you save $1. You do that for the first 5 days, and then you change it to save $2 a day, then 3, then 4, then 5, and at the end of 30 days you have $100 saved up. And so that's an easy way to kind of get going and moving and seeing your progress and marking that off. So again, seeing these, the power of compounding, long-term goals, how easy it is with Acorn and Digit, knowing that you can automatically transfer, open up a couple new savings accounts and make it 10 or 15 or $25 and automatically shoot that over. How many of you are interested in starting to save using some of these techniques, and how much do you think you'll save? You know, you want to choose whatever's easiest for you. You want to choose goals that motivate you to save and say no to spending on things you don't need. One question that usually comes up is, should I save when I have debt? And let me just, I think this is the last slide. You know, you have debt and you have some savings, so what should I do? And one of the things is you want to get in the habit of saving and investing. And so even if it's $20 a month to savings and $20 a month to investing, whether that's in, you know, you sign up for Acorns and that's about $20 or whatever, betterment.com, as well as there's a couple resources that I'll show you that you can set up an automatic, it's betterment.com and homestead.com, and you could set up as little as $20 a month automatically going into these investment groups, and they split it across and diversify your portfolio. And so whether it's savings or investing, both, you want to start small and start doing it to get into that habit, start creating those new habits, be mindful and see that growing, and then attack your debt, right? So you have both. If you have high interest debt, then more of your money is going to attack and pay that debt down. And then as you get to maybe just have your mortgage, maybe your car, then you can put more than the $20 going into investing and savings. And so it just depends on what your goals are, but doing some of investing and saving and paying down debt is the best way. And we'll talk about the debt next time. So here's your homework. Automatic savings. Enroll with either Digit or Acorns to automatically invest your change, which is better than putting your money in a jar, because you see that money, and well, if you have a jar and it motivates you to see that growing, then that's fine. Some people see that and think they can take money out of that anytime they want. So do that. Or it says choose one or more. Second one is to enroll with betterment.com or homestead.com or homestead funds. And that again allows you to just start automatically withdrawing money into your check from your checking into say a Roth IRA or things for investments and retirement. Third one is to enroll with your bank into an automatically transfer a specific amount. Can be small, can be large, whatever makes sense for you, at least monthly. And I would prefer you to create a new savings account for a new goal and have that automatically going. And so those three different ways to automatically, without having to think about it after you make that decision, to be saving or investing. The second part of your homework is to take the saving pledge to stay motivated at americansaves.org. You go on there, and I won't share my my screen with you because we're out of time, but you just put your name in there, put a goal down, and say, I want to take the pledge to save, and then they send you kind of periodic reminders to say, hey, how are you doing? You know, keep up the good work. Don't forget to be saving, and kind of motivate you. Extra credit would be to track your spending with your bank statements, using a cash envelope system or mint.com or similar programs. Again, there's resources that show different programs you can do. Extra credit would be to use a simple budget or plan. There's some right there. Dave Ramsey has one every dollar. You need a budget. Mint.com is kind of tracks your money and is a budget. Here are your resources. There's the America Saves link. 50 easy ways to save money. 12 free apps to track your spending. There's the minimalism link that you that's kind of talks about being happy with less, living a life more full of meaning rather than having to have a lot of stuff. Here's some tracking tools from mint.com. All of these are different apps or things you can use, and some don't have links because they're only apps that will be help you to track your money if you want to. Here's some different budgeting tools you can use. Again, it's whatever's makes sense to you, whatever looks pleasing to you, whatever's easiest for you, whatever can kind of automatic, but you don't want to make something that's difficult. And then down at the bottom there, you can say saving can get you free cars for life. That should be another homework assignment. I encourage you to go and click on that video. I think it's about 5 minutes, and to watch and to get excited about how you can save and get free cars for life. Here's some games about kind of spending and allowance game. These are budget and saving games that you can use with others in your counties. It's kind of the bean game where you are in family units and have these note cards and use beans to represent monthly income, etc. And then didn't come up, but it's supposed to say, what is one significant thing you learned today? So if you guys could just maybe type down one thing that you learned, and then if there's any questions. I know we're 5 minutes over time. I try to make these short. Hopefully they're not too burdensome. Any things that pop out to you of key lessons learned today, or questions that you have? Yeah, start saving for your grandkids. If you start when they're born, then you only have to save maybe $5,000, and then it just sits there and increases, and they'll be millionaires by the time they retire. So time value of money is key. Different resources and tools to save and to track. Do we get a copy of the PowerPoint? Okay, so there's going to be all of these, I think as I mentioned before, will be made available to you. All the presentations. Again, I'm happy to adapt these presentations for your counties. I want them to be useful for you. I want them to be useful for people in your counties as you do the homework and see, hey, this is easy, and this is, can be fun, and I love seeing my money grow, and I don't miss the money, etc. Hopefully you'll want to then share that with people in your communities, whether it's 15, 20 minutes or longer. And so I'm happy to help you adapt these. If you have some questions on things, I'm happy to continue to one-on-one give some training. And then again, I'm looking to create some of these into move them into fact sheets for handouts that are easy to use. And so if anybody's interested in any of these topics that I'm doing, working with me to get a publication on making fact sheets, let me know. And then I will be sending out the link to this recording along with the PowerPoint, and then about 12 question post survey that just, again, shouldn't take longer than 3 or 4 minutes if you guys wouldn't mind taking that. Let's see, do we get a copy using taking? Yeah, okay, so Daniel asked if I can provide links for the mutual fund stocks, etc. I will do that. Let me make a note of that now. Links for the investment part. I'll put that out with I'll just add maybe another link or a resource page, and we can put that. Okay, guys, well, I really appreciate you joining me. The way to win some prizes, we were rushing through that, and so the way to do the prizes is if you will do the post evaluation and then send me a paragraph for both this, and then if you also to be put in for the Amazon gift card, a paragraph stating kind of what you've done, what you did, and if it was helpful. Here it is. For the Amazon gift card drawing, send me a paragraph about your experience with the homework activities, both this one and the credit one. Was it easy? Was it useful? Do you think you could teach this to others? And so if you send me kind of do the post evaluation and send me a paragraph about what you think of these, then I will do a drawing for the gift cards as well as the other awards or prizes. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, thanks guys. I want you to win these prizes. So please do the post eval and then send me, once you've done the homework, what you thought about it and how easy it was and useful and if you'll use it. And I'll put that in my email so that you can have those directions and I will shoot that out. Okay, appreciate everybody being here. Thanks.